Over the last decade, there's one industry that's gotten a little bit more plush around the edges, and yes, you guessed it, it's the truck industry. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, back when I was young, it used to be fairly simple. Bouncy ride, one bench seat, and pretty much go anywhere you want. Now people demand a little bit more regal treatment. Don't get me wrong, the truck industry still got the standard nuts and bolts, heck, the big bed in the back and enough room for the crew, but what's changing is on the inside, a lot more ergonomics, and well, that's what people demand. Now, one thing about this week's test ride, the 2015 Chevy Silverado double cab model is, well, they keep it pretty much basic for this week. This is the LS model, and on the outside it doesn't necessarily look basic because, well, it doesn't have the standard white or silver exterior color. What we have here is the deep ocean blue, an actual upgrade around about $500. Now, what I like about that, well, it separates it from the masses. Now, one thing you'll notice when you have a basic truck is, well, some of those upgrades are missing, and where it starts here is right there with the ingress. Obviously missing the side step rail. That really helps with the ingress because, after all, this is nearly about a 2-foot step in to climb inside this vehicle. With the exterior of this color, you actually know, well, this isn't basic from the first look. Well, and this is what they call custom, kind of the Chevy's new trend of vehicles. And you've seen them with the all blacked out model, the Rally Edition, and some other ones. Now, what you see on this one is custom wheels. Now, that's about a $1,200 add-on, again, to this kind of base model. And what that means, well, instead of a 17 or 18-inch wheel, where you're getting these 20 nice aluminum wheels versus the old standard. Now, with that custom package, it's going to come the chrome door handles and some other matching chrome accessories. Now, here at the back, one thing that's not standard is the trailer option. It's going to run about $770 on this LS model, and it's going to give you, of course, the dual trailer harnesses and the auto locking rear differential. Now, when we look at some other features back here, one thing that's missing, again, this being basic, is no backup camera, no backup sensors. Now, that is a big treat when you have it on your vehicle, especially when you're trailering, because after all, backing up to a trailer, getting out, seeing how close you're is quite cumbersome. Having that bird's eye view of the trailer hitch, much easier. Now, one feature we found on a lot of trucks that we don't find here is the nice lowering tailgate. Now, what that means is it eases into place. That's not really the case here, because once you pull the handle, watch out. One thing that is standard, well, the full-size spare, and that's going to come in real handy should you go off the beaten path. And what's even better is the quick access, and where you're going to find it is under this nice cover. Now, you're going to use the truck key, and you're going to put it right here. That's going to pull out the release. Now, once you do that, put the crank in, crank it down, easily change the spare, and go. One thing you're not going to find on most other trucks, well, is right here in the corners of the bumpers, the nice steps built in. Now, what you're going to find is, well, that's easy to step right there because it's about 23 inches, just the same on the corners. But when you compare this to other trucks, well, they just don't have this convenience. And when this tailgate's down, well, that's not an option. Simply grab right here, step up, and go inside. One thing that comes standard on the double cab model, well, the huge cargo box, a 6'6". That compared to the crew cab, that comes standard with a 5.5-foot bed. Now, what's the difference between the two? Well, it all comes down to the tape measure. This easily extending out with the tailgate down to over 8 foot, and that means pretty much slide the plywood in, and it's got nice support. Even better on any model, the wheel wells easily wider than 4 feet is just the same. Everything slides in with ease. One thing that doesn't come standard, well, the spray-in bed liner. It's going to be about a $475 option. Well worth it. Now, one thing you're going to like also is the height of these sidewalls. Now, you're looking at about 20 inches here. Easily going to handle anything you dump inside, like some mulch, and really give you a lot of cargo volume. Even better, there's some nice anchor points here at the corners, tie down any loose items. Now, one thing we found on other kind of upgraded models is some versatility back here on different models, really some anchor points and some sliding rails. But again, this is pretty much basic. One trivial point, well, the back glass. It's basic, and what you're going to see on upgraded models, well, that center window here. Where that window comes into play is really when you have your pet dog back here, able to tell it to sit down, or maybe those crew members kind of sliding around when you're going down the road. Just be sure to check with your state laws to see what's legal. Regardless of which model you go with, whether it's upgraded or the basic version, one thing that stays the same, well, by the numbers. And what you see here is around about 230 inches overall, with the wheelbase around about 143. Now, that compared to the crew cab model with the same lengthy bed is going to measure about 10 inches in those dimensions bigger. Now, what's great is this is truly still a work truck. So even if you don't have all the ergonomics on the inside, which we'll get into in a minute, you still have plenty of cargo box. And where that came in handy, hauling a huge tree to our front yard. Now, even though this truck is somewhat basic, again, it has that custom appeal, again, with the color and all the chrome. And what I like is the fact this has a lot of grille warfare really right up front and center, and that bow tie really nice and big. And what I like is the contrast, a little bit of body color, a little bit of chrome, and heck, a lot of grille going across, something that makes this truck just a hair better than basic. Looking at design features on any truck, well, what I like to look at is kind of the haunches. Now, some cases, a lot of vehicles really smooth through this area, but what I like is they're not going really far out here on the Silverado, but have nice kind of simple lines, a little bit of bellowing out, but nothing looks too chiseled or, well, too fat. One area that any truck doesn't really want to be basic or known for being that way, well, is under the hood. And well, this vehicle actually got upgraded. Now, what it comes standard with is the 4.3 liter V6 engine. Delivers decent horsepower around about 285 and decent torque at around about 305 foot-pounds. But what we did here, actually upgraded for about an extra $1,000 to the mid-size engine. Now, it's going to be a 5.3 liter V8. Now, it's going to deliver around about 355 horses and 383 foot-pounds of torque, so a lot more bang for that little extra buck. Now, if you want to spend just a little bit more money, you can get the full-size engine. That's going to be a 6.2 liter V8. Now, that's going to deliver around about 420 horses and 460 foot-pounds of torque. Now, what's great is that's only going to hurt your gas mileage by about 3 miles per gallon. Now, this does come in either 2-wheel or 4-wheel drive, but of course that is an option. This one coming pretty much basic. One area that I don't like basic, well, is the good old key. Now, I've seen on really economical cars all the way to the high-end ones that this is really the smart key system, pretty much leaving the old traditional, keep it in your pocket, press a button and forget about it. Well, pretty much keeping it basic, which means put it in and start her up. Looking for simple adjustments really starts at the steering wheel, and one thing you're not going to find, well, the good old telescoping. Now, it does tilt, and I got this wrong once before on a Silverado, so I made extra effort to look around. And when you go basic, well, you lose the ability to kind of pull this to you, only up and down. To save your dollars, it all starts right here at the entertainment, and pretty much what you see here is basic and small. Now, this screen's about 4 inches and is simple compared to the huge MyLink system that you'll see on other models. Now, that system is a touchscreen. This one more or less coordinates with the buttons down here. Now, there is a home screen, but unlike the touchscreen systems, again, you're going to have to kind of toggle through them with the good old controls. Now, what's great is this particular model came with the built-in Wi-Fi system, something really GM is pushing. Now, what's interesting, usually you can go right here to settings, find the Wi-Fi settings, find the password, put it in your phone. Instead, you had to utilize the OnStar system. They actually had to give you the passcode. For the climate control system, I like the fact that it does look like the upgraded model. The only thing you're not seeing here is the dual climate control, and this is not a digital readout on the display up above. Instead, just the good old color gradient. Now, pretty much everything else is standard procedure. Now, as for the operation for the radio, again, these are the controls, and I like the quick link to the radio. Simply press that, and the screen's going to go back to the main media settings and your home screen. So everything nice and simple. Looking at legroom numbers here on the double cab, well, you got about 45 inches up front, around about 34 in the back. Now, the double cab again replaces the good old extended cab, and the extended cab didn't even have legroom, so we definitely have improved. Now, if you upgrade to the crew cab, well, it's going to make it equal all the way around. Now, what's great here on this basic model, well, you get the best bang for your buck, and what I'm referring to is occupancy, and it all starts right here at the center. And what's great, this huge seat that's built in here when you flip up this center console. Looking a little bit deeper at the center console, one thing I like is the extra padding. Now, it's a good elbow support on both sides and a lot of distance between the driver and his co-pilot. Now, what you'll find, a little holder for your cell phone here. Now, once you open it up, tons of space on the inside. Actually, a little divided compartment here and connectivity, nice USB and the power supply. If you need some drink storage, well, there's plenty up front on this model, actually 3 across, and again, some extra storage here. You can almost prop your phones up when you go down the road. Now, if you need some places for some other storage, well, they're in the door, and what I find, that's a great place to put some trash or garbage, maybe when you're snacking down the road. Now, even though it's a truck, you got to carry some things on the inside, and a lot of times you got to keep it in this truck all the time. What you're going to find is the dual glove compartments, one up top, a little bit deep and a little bit vertical, can hold things quite well. Down below, the old typical One way you know this is kind of basic is, well, look at the steering wheel. The only thing you're going to find is controls for cruise control and, well, nothing for the audio. Now, it comes a little bit cumbersome when you have to do a long stretch over there, but you'll get over it after you save the money at the register. Now, as for the gauges, pretty much old standard operating procedure with analog tach and speedometer and a lot of gauge information across the top. Now, what I do like is the LCD in the middle, giving you a nice digital readout for your speed. Now, one feature that may seem weird, well, that little slot right there, and I actually had to research it and found, well, it's good for holding cards, IDs, or really whatever you need when you get out of the vehicle and grab and go. If you're like me, you go down the road, you got a lot of things in your pocket and sometimes you just can't get them out. Well, there's a nice little storage area right here in the door. Now, a lot of times these vehicles have this and it's all open. Instead here, Silverado has a nice little niche. Now, what's great with a double cab model, of course, is carrying people, but even better, weather tight storage. When it's raining outside, you don't want to put it in the cargo bed, put it right here. Now, for starters, you can put everything here on the back seat, but in case you want to, you can fold this up. And the way you do that, there's a nice release under the seat cushion, pull down on it and pull up. Now, that's going to lock into place, giving you plenty of storage down here on the floor. Now, to release this before you get into a tugging match, one thing you got to note, when you pull this handle, push it forward just a hair, it's going to release it and drop it right down. That does it for this edition of Road Warrior, our test drive behind the wheel of the 2015 Chevy Silverado double cab. Now, this is pretty much the basic offering with some customized features, pretty much that exterior color and some add-ons. Now, what we like is pretty much it goes back to the heart of trucking. A little bit of rough around the edges, some simpleness on the inside, but pretty much gets it done. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.